There was an era when a handful of pixels could trigger massive imagination. Atari welcomed millions of families to video games and delivered hits that defined a whole generation. From legendary quests to arcade blockbusters, here are 12 Atari titles that helped build gaming history, and they remain genuinely fun today. During the early 1980s, the Smurfs stood as one of the massive cartoon franchises globally, making a dedicated video game adaptation completely inevitable. Playing on the Atari 2600, players control a courageous Smurf traveling to save Smurfette directly from Gargamel's fortress. Initially, the title appears vibrant, lovely, and remarkably true to the show, featuring a familiar rendition of the television soundtrack alongside diverse single-screen jumping hurdles. Yet, never let those adorable aesthetics deceive you. It remains among the hardest experiences across the system. Nearly every hurdle, including barriers, streams, or basic items within the backdrop, will immediately take away your life. The ultimate shock involves the jumping system. A standard leap lacks the height required to pass various traps, forcing users to execute another jump right after the initial one to gain crucial elevation. It feels strange initially, but after mastering the timing, the experience turns out far more satisfying. Even though the brutal challenge proves annoying, Smurf shines as a highly polished Atari 2600 side-scroller and stays a buried gem definitely worth playing now. Debuting in 1983, X-Men turned into one of the most debated titles ever launched for the Atari 2600. Unlike typical releases back then, which focused on family crowds, this title aimed at adult users and instantly drew notice for its strange premise. Players direct the central figure through a procedurally built labyrinth packed with shifting obstacles and an intense countdown before entering the concluding chamber. The grid itself poses the true hurdle, demanding rapid responses and smart mapping to bypass adversaries and endure. Despite that disputed legacy, the core mechanics feel remarkably stable, using shifting designs that offer the experience solid replay potential. During its launch, the heavy themes triggered significant societal pushback, resulting in immense disapproval and even getting pulled from multiple retail shelves. Nowadays though, X-Men stands recognized less for actual playability and more as a captivating slice of arcade culture, proving creators wanted to test boundaries rarely touched on living room hardware. Looked at as an oddity or a rare treasure, it stays among the system's most notorious products. Launched for the Atari, Kung Fu Master stands as a remarkable port of the arcade hit, particularly given the system's strict hardware constraints. While the original cabinet utilized two distinct inputs, the programming team smartly mapped nearly all techniques using a mix of the joystick and one action button. You can strike, kick, duck, and execute various maneuvers with incredibly fluid inputs, ensuring the combat feels far more complex than typical Atari brawlers. Your goal is basic: battle through a stronghold packed with hostiles and save the captured Princess Victoria. Though the plot is simple, it provides users a definite motivation past merely hunting for a high score. The visuals are obviously scaled down from the arcade layout, but familiar opponents, seamless animations, and upbeat audio retain plenty of the original appeal. Even though certain mechanics and boss features were cut, the release still provides a highly enjoyable time, powered by tight handling, rapid combat, and an authentic presentation. Kung Fu Master stays among the Atari 2600's premier arcade translations. Released in 1982, Space Cavern stands out as a hidden action gem for the Atari 2600 that delivers intense, multi-directional shooting thrills. Your objective is basic: control a brave astronaut trapped inside a subterranean alien cave, defending yourself against relentless monsters attacking from all sides. Unlike standard fixed shooters, dangers approach from both the skies and the rocky floors, transforming each room into a frantic test of coordination and survival. Flying creatures drop lethal energy beams from above, while creepy crawlers march along the ground to ambush you, forcing players to constantly switch their firing directions. What truly made this title exceptional was its unique defensive mechanics. Rather than just shooting straight up, your character can blast horizontally to crush ground-based threats before they get too close. This distinct setup gave the classic formula immense replay longevity and kept the pacing incredibly tense. Paired with highly responsive joystick handling, crisp retro sound effects, and fast-paced gameplay loops, Space Cavern remains a memorable, action-packed classic that pushed the system's limits. Released during Popeye's peak popularity, this Atari 2600 adaptation is one of the console's most underrated arcade ports. Based on Nintendo's hit arcade game, you control Popeye as he tries to collect items dropped by Olive Oil while avoiding the powerful Bluetooth. Unlike most platformers of the era, Popeye can't jump, forcing you to carefully navigate ladders and platforms while dodging incoming objects. Fortunately, grabbing a can of spinach temporarily gives Popeye the strength to knock Bluetooth off the screen and clear your path. Each stage introduces a different objective, from collecting hearts and musical notes to gathering other items before moving on to the next level. The simple mechanics quickly become addictive, especially as the difficulty increases with every completed cycle. While the graphics are modest, the game captures the charm of the arcade original with responsive controls, recognizable characters, and a catchy version of the classic Popeye theme. Thanks to its unique gameplay and surprisingly polished design, many retro fans consider Popeye one of the best platformers ever released for the Atari 2600. Pitfall stands widely regarded among the finest titles ever launched for the Atari 2600, acting as a true pioneer for the adventure genre. Players guide Pitfall Harry through an expansive jungle containing more than 250 connected screens hunting for buried riches. Throughout the trek, you must dodge tumbling logs, serpents, scorpions, mires, alligators, and various lethal threats, all while battling a strict 20-minute countdown. Simply finishing isn't the goal. The true test involves gathering every single prize before the clock hits zero. One of the game's most creative mechanics is the subterranean tunnel layout, which allows users to bypass several screens and find quicker pathways across the forest. Masterfully balancing when to track the surface and when to descend underneath proves vital for conquering this quest. Backed by highly responsive movement, brilliant map design, and an incredible spirit of discovery, Pitfall delivered a journey unmatched by any contemporary release. Decades later, it stays a defining masterwork on the console. Jungle Hunt shines as one of the Atari 2600's most inventive action titles, guiding players through 4 entirely unique stages rather than looping identical gameplay. You control Sir Dudley Dashley, embarking on a treacherous trek to save his captured spouse. Throughout the quest, you will swing along forest vines, paddle across rivers packed with alligators while watching your oxygen meter, dodge giant tumbling rocks, and lastly bypass an enemy outpost to finish your rescue goal. Every section debuts distinct mechanics, ensuring the journey feels exciting from start to finish. What truly elevated Jungle Hunt was its remarkable diversity and design. The vibrant tropical backdrops, fluid flowing water, memorable sound pings, and rich animations pushed the Atari 2600 well past its supposed hardware limits. Though subsequent tiers require strict timing and sharp reflexes, the inputs stay crisp enough to keep the trials balanced. Best of all, it provides a genuine conclusion before restarting with tougher settings, sealing its spot as a standout arcade classic. Long before ruling over mushroom kingdoms, Mario and Luigi stepped up as plumbers in the classic Mario Bros., and the Atari 2600 delivered a highly impressive home port. Rather than exploring scrolling lands, the brothers need to clear stat platforms by hitting enemies from below and booting them off-screen. Turtles, crabs, hopping bugs, frosty hazards, and a persistent fireball all demand distinct tactics, turning up the heat as each round accelerates. While the stage architecture stays constant, the steadily rising speed keeps the experience incredibly gripping. A central POW block allows you to instantly daze all active threats, while special coin stages offer bonus scoring opportunities between regular levels. The Atari 2600 edition proudly includes simultaneous 2-player multiplayer, enabling teamwork or fierce high-score rivalries backed by bright visuals, sharp handling, and loops that remain incredibly entertaining. Mario Bros. Stays among the top arcade translations found on the system and a crucial piece of gaming heritage. Frogger stands out as one of the most famous arcade titles ever produced, and its Atari 2600 port does a stellar job of preserving what made the original loop so compelling. The mission is basic: navigate a tiny frog through a crowded highway packed with fast cars, then smartly traverse a treacherous river by leaping over drifting logs, turtles, and various floating platforms until landing safely in your nest. It represents a straightforward premise, yet one that rapidly transforms into a genuine trial of patience and quick reflexes. Despite the Atari 2600's strict hardware constraints, Frogger delivers bright aesthetics, sharp controls, and numerous active objects on the layout, cementing itself among the console's premier arcade adaptations. Each victorious journey ramps up the tension since vehicles accelerate and the currents turn far more unpredictable. This basic design philosophy explains why it has stayed relevant for generations, inspiring a multitude of modern releases utilizing the identical blueprint. Today, Frogger remains a genuinely timeless and addictive retro masterpiece. Halloween represents one of the Atari 2600's most distinct and sought-after cartridges, shining as an early pioneer in the survival horror genre. Based on the legendary movie, players guide Laurie Strode across a sprawling residence, saving toddlers while dodging the unstoppable Michael Myers. What renders this experience memorable is how Michael can abruptly pop up as you transition between chambers, generating genuine suspense that worked remarkably well for an early 1980s platform. The iconic cinematic melody also triggers whenever he strikes, elevating the creepy atmosphere even further. The core gameplay is straightforward yet demanding. Your mission involves securing kids while outrunning Michael's chase, and eventually you can uncover a temporary weapon to briefly push back. Though the layouts loop with escalating intensity, the unrelenting pressure from the killer keeps each attempt thrilling. Mixed with its eerie design and novel premise, Halloween turned into one of the system's most notable licensed efforts and stands as a captivating artifact of early interactive horror history. Space Invaders ranks as a monumental milestone in arcade history, and its Atari 2600 edition turned into one of the platform's premier triumphs. Your goal is basic: steer a small turret, slide left and right, and halt endless waves of dropping alien troopers before they hit the ground. As you clear out hostiles, the remaining forces steadily accelerate, converting every tier into a high-stakes trial of timing and coordination. 3 breakable barriers offer short-term cover, requiring users to balance attacking and defending throughout the conflict. What genuinely made this version exceptional was its massive volume of options. Rather than providing a solitary mode, the Atari 2600 cartridge packed an incredible 112 gameplay setups. Users could activate shifting shields, accelerated enemy strikes, cloaked invaders, team play, rival multiplayer, and various combinations of these rules. This diversity gave the title massive replay longevity and helped keep it exciting long after its debut. Paired with tight inputs, iconic sound pings, and compelling loops, Space Invaders became the console's top-selling release. And those were 12 of the most iconic Atari 2600 games ever made. Even with simple graphics and limited hardware, these classics prove that great gameplay never goes out of style. If you enjoyed this trip back to gaming's earliest days, don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more retro gaming content, and let me know in the comments which Atari game you'll always remember. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.